Hello, today I'm going to show you this one trick that I use. First, I'm going to show you a hand where I explain the concept itself and I show you the mechanical implications of it. And by the end of the video, you're going to see a hand where arguably the best 6-max player in the world missed this one detail and he got punished for 200 blinds EV on the spot. This concept is called the lookalike principle, and if you watched my other videos, you might remember I've used it in a hand versus llama before. The nut flush could take a few lines, but the most frequent line is probably going to be the check, because we are protecting ace-x with the ace of clubs that wants to see a showdown, and we are also allowing those ace-x with the ace of clubs to be turned into bluffs alongside the nut flush. So let me show you this hand because it's very, very interesting. You're going to see the sizings used and the line itself is extremely peculiar. I'm playing against Muniz, one of the biggest crushers of online nosebleeds. And let's see how it goes. So he opens. We 3-bet, a little bit smaller because we are 180 deep, or something like that. He calls, and we get to 10-7-5 two-tone. Now this flop is, if you play a lot of 6-max, it might seem better than it is. In actuality, in heads up, in position has Jack 10 off, 10-9 off, Queen 10 off, King 10 off, pure, that we as the out of position have at a lowish frequency. So the way I would play this is low frequency, big size. It might be the case that you can play this for a smaller size as well, but the way I would have played this is a pretty large size. So I went with a check with this hand, and Muniz checks back. Obviously, we hit the nuts. Like in most of my videos, I'm just hitting the nuts and stacking people because that's the only way I know how to win. But yeah, now on the turn, the strategy is interesting. I guess we build around hands like some of the 10x, like because we play so polar on flop, we can still have a lot of 10x on turn. We can also have 9s, 8s that are still worth a couple bets because he shouldn't really have a lot of 10x. So we start with a 2/3 bet, and on his calls, and the river is very, very interesting. So this river is one where he can hit ace queen, he can hit some 2-pair, ace 7, ace 6, ace 5, right? It's a very dynamic river. And we have a lot of value that now doesn't want to go for a huge line, right? We have 10-9, 10-8, 9s, 8s. And what do those hands have in common with hands I'm holding? The blockers. That's the lookalike principle. We are using the same blockers with value, the same blockers with bluffs, and the same blockers with traps. And that way, when your opponent is bluff catching, he doesn't really know what to do because he can never block value. He can never block bluffs. He's always blocking and unblocking everything at the same time. Right? So we put this line, this hand, in the same line as we would put 9s, 8s, 10-9, 10-8. It's probably not the only line, right? This hand can probably take multiple lines, can probably check, etc., etc. But I expect the highest frequency line to be a small bet, protecting all of those hands that share blockers, and that size is 10%. Okay, if I have 9s, if I have 8s, I don't necessarily want to check. I just want to go for a 10% bet. And Muniz, he goes for a raise. I mean, we only have one move here, right? We go all in. And now it's very tough for Muniz, right? Because if he has a hand like, for example, spoiler, he has ace queen. If he has a hand like ace queen, he's in a spot where, you know, he's unblocking. I'm unblocking 9s, I'm unblocking 8s, I'm unblocking 10-9, I'm unblocking 10-8, right? But he's also unblocking the value because we made sure that our value on our bluffs are consistent, right? So he can't really just unblock our bluff. So he makes the call, and obviously we take the pot. Okay, so that's the lookalike principle in simple terms. Now, the next hand I'm going to show you Kevin Pack is going to miss this one concept, and he's going to get owned for 200 blinds on the spot. 200 blinds EV, arguably.
If you want to learn more about this, you should check out DEADREAD.
So, next hand, we are three-handed with Owen and Kevin. Obviously, my table selection is godly. And we get into a single raise spot with kings, top set. Again, in style for myself, I have to hit the nuts. And I decide to go for a check. I don't think this is a pure check by any means, but I think it might be a thing at some frequency. I don't remember if I did it for an exploitative reason, if I RNG'd. And Kevin goes for a 3/4 on turn, pretty much the size, right? We don't expect anything other than this. And we go for call. And the river's an 8. And now Kevin does something really interesting. He goes half pot. Right? What is half pot representing? Half pot is representing mainly top pair. Right? That's mainly what he's saying that he has, top pair. Now, he's smart. He knows that he needs to have traps here. But here's the thing. The traps that he needs to put in this size are almost entirely King X of clubs. Why? Because this spot is one where we are very capped, right? There's a flush on turn, he bets, and we just called. We didn't raise. So it's not a line where we have a surplus of flushes, right? Therefore, yes, he needs to trap sometimes, but he doesn't need to overdo the trapping, right? So most of his traps by far, the majority of his traps are going to be specifically King X of clubs. We make the raise for value to try to get value from those King X, maybe some 2-pair, etc. Maybe some set could do this as well. And Kevin goes for the jam. And this is the most interesting part about the hand. So we've talked about what his traps are supposed to be. And how does the solver fix that? Right? Because we shouldn't be here, right? Like we have the king of clubs. This shouldn't be happening if he has value. So how does the solver get out of that problem? Well, the solver is going to use King X of clubs and specifically King X with the King of clubs. That follows the lookalike principle, right? King X of clubs and King X with the King of clubs. Now, when I'm holding the King of clubs, this is obviously not the case, right? He's not holding that range because he doesn't have a range when I'm holding the King of clubs. So obviously he must have some other hand, right? Now, I give Kevin a lot of credit for mostly putting King X of clubs in this line, but it's very easy to make the mistake of 3-bet jamming King X with the kicker of clubs, right? The solver is probably not going to do that because it breaks up the blocker consistency and it allows for a blocker like the King of clubs on my end to be extremely, extremely strong. Because think about it, if I have the Ace of clubs, I don't really have anything. If I have the Queen of clubs, I don't really have anything, right? I'm not blocking a lot of value. Arguably, I'm just blocking bluffs, mostly, right? But specifically, this King of clubs becomes a very, very, very strong blocker, right? So the hands that I expect here is King, Queen with the Queen of clubs, King, Jack with the Queen of clubs. That shouldn't really be here, but nevertheless, either because he RNGs or because of an exploited, right? Because of so many reasons, that blocker consistency could break up slightly and allow for a call that wins the entire pot. And that's the video. If you liked it, you'll also probably like one of these videos that I'm going to show you. You should click. You should definitely click. So please do that. Please click. Watch it all. Watch it a couple times, in fact. And just keep watching. Just keep watching my videos. Give me retention time.